So today, this drawing, we're going to draw this. We're going to add value, okay? But we are going to go through the same standard way of measuring the drawing out, laying out the figure, getting it ready to add the value. So, how do we start out? Okay, so the size of the head. Yeah, it's about head high here, so if I'm about halfway, this is a halfway dash mark, so I know the top of the head is going to be about here. The bottom of the head is just up a little bit, so the bottom of the head here. So if this is the jaw, the front of the face, back of the head. Okay, so if I draw this head out, I know that the head is tilted at a little bit of an angle. Do you see the angle here? Ear is going to be behind halfway. You guys should automatically know all these measurements. The eye. That made that front. You know, the nose, L shape, right? Kinda there. The lips are a little above halfway. Where's that bottom lip? She doesn't have much of a bottom lip. And it just kind of curves like that. Okay, her hair. I just map it out real quick. Her hair is back here. Okay, so I kind of have the head. I have some proportions on the head. I don't want to get too far. I'm really farther than probably what I should be, but I always like having some of the features on the head, so it's easy to make quick measurements. Okay, so first measurement, the shoulder. I could look at the negative space here and see what that negative space looks like in this. Okay, this is my measuring line here is a little distracting. I'm just going to get rid of that so it doesn't bother you. So the negative space here starts where? Right about here. And I can just look at this negative space. And it has this interesting little shape here. So I'm always looking at shape and line. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just looking at shape and line. And then it curves back. So this shoulder is right below the ear, and I've got that in the right spot. I'm looking at kind of this negative space of just that shape. So I'm just looking at just that shape of that shoulder. And then I can look at just the shape of that triangle right here, this triangle. And it comes down, right? So this other elbow is right down here. And then the arm, the wrist is just past this hash mark. Well, I got that hash mark in the wrong spot, don't I? That's more half. So this wrist is somewhere in here. And that's the top of the arm. So I have this wrist. Ooh, where's this knee? Right above the elbow. Right here. So I'm just looking at this negative space here. And she's got these fun little sock things going on. So I'm just looking at the negative space and I'm trying to place where that goes. Okay, what else? We can do the hand. Now we don't see much of the hand, so measuring the hand out is going to be problematic. It doesn't really come out as far. So we want to try to get the width of this arm. How wide is that arm compared to what on the face? The eye, just below the eye. So I know this arm is about that wide. So if I look at the contour line here, and it makes this funny shape. See that shape? So I'm always thinking about shape. I don't have to name what it is. I'm looking at shape and line. And the dress does all kinds of funny things. We'll deal with that later. How about this foot? Okay, so the ankle's right below that wrist. Where is it? Somewhere here, right below this wrist. Whew, okay, there's a lot going on here. Okay, how far down is that bottom of that foot? From here to here, same distance from almost the top of the head. So I know the bottom of that foot is right about here. If I measure that. And it's right below where we put the ankle mark. And so it's somewhere in here. So the foot, what long is that foot? Measuring it, face, length. So the end of the foot is here. So then it's just, I have a box to put the foot in. Okay, so I look at the contour line, I draw it, and this line, oh, it has this nice curve, almost across from here. Connect the dots. Not so bad. And then she's got these sock things that form these little square rectangles, and her fingers, she's got some fingers here. So the joint of that finger is right about here. So I'm going to draw some of that finger. There's another joint here. Right? And then there's a little bit of thumb sticking out. Now it doesn't look like much, but we're just kind of mapping it out, right? They're just shapes. So you're going to hear me say shapes all your life. Okay, so this kind of dress goes, and where does this ankle? Boy, this calf here is really wide. As wide as to the bottom of the eye. Wow, can you think the calf is going to be that wide? So, and it goes right up to here. It's wider than what you think. Okay, how about this hip? Where does this go? So I'm going to draw this shape. Starts here, right? Curves down, goes down to, I'm guessing, somewhere here. And then this dress kind of does, so I'm drawing that interesting shape I see here. So I'm just drawing the shape. Oh, I don't have the back, this other foot. Do you see that little, it's just a shape. So I have this foot. Yeah. So this foot is going to be right in here somewhere. I could draw some of the stuff in this foot, right? That shape. There's a little shape underneath it. So I'm just looking at those shapes. Ooh, there's another, I've got 1, 2, there's 3 here. Sock thing, right? 1, 2, 3. So I'm just getting all those shapes in there. Okay, this back. Okay, her hip is right about here, right? Right below this center line. So this hip, and she's got, her clothing somewhere. I feel like that's too tall. How tall did I make that? Okay, to that. Yep. I'm feeling that's shorter. Let's make that here. And we'll make that here. I went too big. So let's change that. Okay. Does that look better? From here to here, from here to here, same distance as from where? From the center line here to the top of the head? Yeah, that's better. I got too big on that hip. I'm going to round that off a little more. And she's got these little triangle shapes here that happen, right? That form the clothing. Okay, so I kind of have the front. How about this back, this arch? Okay, it goes back to this hash mark. See that hash mark right here? So I want to draw that contour line. Sometimes it's less measurement, more drawing the contour line. So look right, and then it's this line going from here to here, just like that. So how far down is this? So I want to mark where is that point right here. Wow, okay, it's as long as my charcoal, which is as wide as the head with the hair. So it's right about here. It's across from this line. Oh, yeah, if I drew a line straight down here from that hash mark to this hash mark, there we go. That's one way to do it. So there's a lot of different ways to swing a cat, okay? So we're just trying to get that curve. And then we know she's got this dressy thing, so we can add a little detail. And this whole fluffy dressy thing that's happening here, you know, she's got this little spike thing here. So I'm just trying to reproduce what I see here. Oh, another spike thing here, right? And the dress goes out. There's kind of a thing going here. So I'm just trying to draw these shapes. And they're just shapes. Don't get all uptight if the shape's not right. You're just trying to get the feel for how the dress goes. How does that dress go? You know, you have this curving up, goes all the way up to somewhere here, right? So I'm just trying to get the feel for that dress. There's kind of a shape here, shape here. So I'm just working on each one of these shapes, and it should add up. Remember when we did the blind contour drawing? So I'm just trying to do these shapes. And this is just a big rectangle, right? Yeah. Oh, and then it curves down like that. This has somewhere in here, goes like that. Just looking for all of these shapes that happen in here. Trying to get something similar to that. Doesn't have to be exact. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so I kind of mapped out the figure. Do I have everything on there? Oh, no, I have this. Her dress goes back this way, right? Underneath that armpit. We got that sock thing. Now, the funny thing about, and she does have, she get the direction of this hair. So this hair kind of goes like this, right? Got these little kind of a braid thing going on in her hair. I want to try to reproduce some of that. That's kind of fun. When you get little fun shapes like that, you want to really try to do them justice. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay, so I have the figure going. I could start adding value. One of the things I want to be careful of, this nose. Okay, one of the things I want to be careful of, I can work on the detail here and stuff. This is a drawing of backlighting, okay? So I want to be careful on how I do that. And so I'm going to show you the original drawing that I have here. Well, this is a pen and ink drawing, so it's different than the charcoal. The pen and ink I can get a lot more detail with, and this will be good for you to look at. So let's look at the pen and ink drawing. Okay, so this is a pen and ink drawing of what we're doing here in charcoal. So the thing here is this is backlighting. Backlighting is hard to do because you're going to get all the shadow in the front. And the shadow you have to be very careful of because there's shadow shapes within shadow shapes. And you want to get these shadow shapes correct. And they're very subtle. You really have to train your eye and you have to really see these very subtle value shapes. Okay? We got these strong highlights. There are some highlights on that face. See the highlights coming on the hair behind here? Ooh, that's fun. Okay? So if I do the highlights on the face, I want to be very careful. Some of the highlights I want just paper color. Right? I could get rid of this charcoal, dark charcoal line, and there's just a very subtle highlight here where the light's coming in, hitting the figure. And this is fun. When you get to work with dark charcoal, it's always a lot of fun, right? And white charcoal. It's very exciting. Oops, I do not have that shape. I put a highlight where a shadow should be. I didn't quite get that right, did I? I'll fix it. Hang on. Okay, so I have some of these shadow shapes. I should work on this eye. I have a shadow alongside the nose here. Now when you're putting the shadows on the face, remember to start out very light. Don't go too far too quickly. You do not want to shoot yourself in the foot. It hurts. Okay? We want to try to get this just right. So I want to be very careful with these subtle shadow shapes. And notice how my lines in the value help describe the direction of the plane on the face. That can be, use that to your advantage. Okay, adding a little more detail around that eye. Some more shadow here, right? There's a little shadow here, more shadow that comes down. Now I'm going to leave some of this just paper color. Now, the more subtle you are, the more interesting this is going to be. Remember, you want a full range of values on your figure. Does it look right? Yep. I'm still okay. Haven't messed anything up yet. Ooh, I know this cheek starts getting darker. And I want to get the shape. All these shapes in this ear are important. Okay, and the shape kind of goes like this. So I'm looking at shape. That's going to help me understand how this person is put together. And all these make this person very, trying to get a likeness is very hard to do And it's all about getting all these shadow shapes to look just right, okay, exactly like the figure. So I'm trying to be very subtle and building up all these values very carefully. Oh, you know, I've got 2 lines here for this chin. I got to pick one. I don't like this bottom one. Okay, let's redraw this. Ooh, I'm not going to draw it in black charcoal. I'm going to redraw this in white. How about that? There we go. That looks pretty cool. That puts a little more emphasis on that. And this whole front has a little more white on it. There's a little bit of white in here. So I'm building up my values very slowly. I don't want them too strong too quickly. A lot more value back here. A little darker on that shoulder and neck. So have fun with this. You know, we have these bright values here. You know, I gotta get rid of my guidelines. Don't want them there anymore. They are going to be distracting if I leave those on there. And I made mine a lot darker than what you should make yours. Okay, that helps. So I'm going to do these. So I'm always looking for shape. I'm looking for more shapes than what I started with. And some of these values are light, and some of these values are really light, some of these values are just a little light. So mix it up. It shouldn't be one solid value. If you look at this, there's lots of different values in that white. Try to reproduce that as close as you can get it. And it should look great when you're done. Right, there's going to be lots of highlight on the end of that dress poofing up there. Oh, I never drew the top of that knee. That's okay. There's some highlight here. So I'm just going to drop in some of these highlight shapes, right? Highlight shapes. That's what you should be talking to yourself about. Shapes, value, line. Keep telling yourself all those things, and your drawing's going to look great. Don't give yourself any other messages. Oops, I'm going to make this a white line back here. All the way down to that part, right? And then she's got some of these where the light is shining through her hair, and I can put that on there. And she's got a little highlight here, a little highlight coming across here. So all those are important. Develop that hair more. Lots of value shapes. You want to try to get all these shapes in that hair also. What shapes do I see? Always looking for shapes. So all these value shapes describe bone and muscle structure. I don't like this. What did I do wrong here? Did something funny right in here. I'll have to figure that out. Maybe that goes more like this. Yeah. You know, as you do this, you're going to see things that aren't right, and you just fix them as you go. We know this is going to be much darker here. Very, very dark. This is probably my darkest darkness right here. Does that shape look right in here? Better. I think I just got a little carried away with making that dress. Look at that shoulder. Start out very light, build up those values gradually, and it should look okay. Values here, slowly building them up. I put one layer on, and I see this could be a little darker. Another layer on. And there's a little piece of dress that comes out like that. I want to add that in there. So I want to be careful. I'm describing some of these highlight shapes and shadow shapes around on the face. Very gentle, building them up. So as I'm working here, I'm adding more and more detail. Ooh, I never did all these ribs. Ooh, these are fun. So I want to do some of these ribs in the sock to make it look more like a sock, right? Fingers, and his hand. So I'm just working my way around the figure, trying to get everything into play, and then I can look at it and ask myself, okay, what values and shapes can I work on to develop them a little more? That's the kind of self-talk you always want to be giving yourself, is what shapes or values can I improve on? Oh, these are all ribs too. Kind of curved. Ooh, I like that. Totally forgot about that on this drawing. Okay, let's add some more white here. Okay. Now, this white, this need is much brighter. This little curve here, I want to try to get that shape a little brighter. So the sun is really looking like it's just hitting that really hard. Now this drawing, when I did pen, I spent days on that, a lot of time. I put like 20 hours in that drawing. This drawing, we're just going to spend an hour or two on it, just working out the values. So it won't be as sophisticated as that drawing, but it'll be interesting. It'll be a pretty drawing. So how do you do fabric? It's just a matter of creating a pattern. Highlight, shadow, highlight, shadow, highlight, shadow, highlight, shadow. And then the shapes of these are all a little bit different. And it looks like fabric when you sit back and look at it.